Hello there.
You're on.
I'm not speaking. I'm the other sister. And I'm not speaking. Yeah. But the one that, look at the memo in the email went around where you're out there. Nobody told me to force her.
I didn't get it till
Different work
An eagle just flew over.
Totally cool. There goes the American Eagle.
Goosebumps.
Oh my God.
So in the program
Too, just like the bikes, we had it planned.
Nice job, Gary. Oh my God.
Good evening. I can't hear you. Thank you. Momentarily, we're going to have a little rumble in the air. You can hear it coming in now. Hopefully you enjoy the program this evening. Forward is a Punisher motorcycle group. They support all veterans groups, police, and fire. And they take this as a great honor to defend the whole organization.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, take your seats, please.
Flag. Order. Flag.
I'm Jay Taylor, Commander, VFW Post 153. And it's more of an honor to represent all veterans than just Post 153. Everything we do in this community is for veterans, scouts, community affairs, the whole village as a whole. And we've reached out with a special guest tonight to Ithaca area for our special guest of honor. Opening prayer, please, with our chaplain.
Almighty Father, who suffers in the first affliction of your children, we call upon you now from the depths of our anxiety and great concern for our countrymen and loved ones who have fallen into the hands of the nation's foes. In the face of the evils that these brave men and women endure before the grim burdens they are forced to bear, give them courage and hope and an ever-failing confidence in you. But most of all, God, we ask that the day will come when we can all celebrate your release and safe return to our homes and kindred. Give to all of us who wait and hope in the face of every disappointment the will to persevere in the cause of peace and the wisdom to conquer hate with love and every doubt with renewed faith in you. Amen.
Today, many Americans across the country will pause to remember our U.S. service members who've lost their freedom and, for some, their lives in the defense of our country. Today, and every year, the third Friday of September has been nationally designated as POW MIA Recognition Day to honor these U.S. service members, either POW, a prisoner of war, or MIA, missing in action. Although today is a designated recognition, these war heroes deserve to be and are remembered and honored each day they are not with us. My thoughts always turn to thousands of Americans that have been captured and killed defending our country. Every one of them are heroes, and they remain heroes. I am extremely proud to be living in our village where these military heroes are recognized and honored by our VFW Post 153, our American Legion Post 113, and by the Baldwinsville community in general. 2019. We are currently and have been involved in the Afghanistan, Iraq, and Operation Enduring Freedom wars for 17 years. It has been 45 years since the end of U.S. involvement in the Vietnam War. 67 years since the end of U.S. involvement in the Korean War. 75 years since the end of World War II, and 102 years since the end of World War I. From these wars, there are still many of our military soldiers that are unaccounted for. Our local military organizations, the Albert Glenn Richardson Veterans of Foreign Wars Post 153 and the Bernice Suttle American Legion Post 113, have adopted the POW MIA ceremonial table, which is continuously maintained and revered at all American Legion and VFW posts. We now have the Scouts help with the symbolization of the POW table.
We are the faith keepers, the
believers of hope. We will keep the fires burning. This nation owes no greater debt than to ensure that every POW is released and our MIAs will be reunited on this nation's soil. It is our responsibility to ensure that these heroes' families have closure and rest. The items of this ceremonial setting have been selected to represent the following meetings.
The table set for one is small, symbolizing the frailty of one prisoner alone against his oppressors. Remember.
Remember.
Tablecloth. Tablecloth is white, symbolizing the purity of their intentions to respond to their country's call to arms. Remember.
Remember.
The single red rose displayed in the vase reminds us of the families and loved ones of our comrades in arms who keep the faith awaiting their return. Remember.
Remember.
The red ribbon tied so prominently on the vase is reminiscent of the red ribbon worn upon the lapel and the breasts of thousands who bear witness to their unyielding determination to demand a proper accounting for our missing. Remember.
Remember.
Candle. Candle is lit, symbolizing the upward reach of their unconquerable spirit. Remember.
Remember.
A slice of lemon is on the bread plate to remind us of their bitter fate. Remember.
Remember.
There is salt upon the bread plate, symbolic of the family's tears as they wait. Remember.
Remember.
The glass is inverted. They cannot drink with us and be here tonight. Remember.
Remember.
The chair is empty. They are not here. Remember.
Remember.
As of you who served with them and called them comrades, who depended upon their might and aid, relied upon them, for surely they have not forsaken you. Remember.
Remember.
Until the day they come home, remember.
Remember.
Show your faith and hope that we will always remember.
Take your seats, please. At this time, I'd like to present our honored guest, United States Army, World War II, 82nd Airborne, 508th Regiment, Charlie Company, of Red Devil. Captured 9 days in the Normandy. God knows it.
He's 90.
Robert Bob Nobles is from Ithaca, New York. Following the bombing of Pearl Harbor by the Japanese, Bob enlisted in the United States Army and became a paratrooper. Bob was 21 years old. Bob left his girlfriend Betty behind and traveled to Camp Blanding, a training center in Clay County, Florida. Bob was assigned to the 82nd Airborne Division, 508th BIR Charlie Company. Bob was then ordered to the famous training camp Fort Benning, Georgia, where many future paratroopers would receive their airborne training. Bob performed his first jump and many more, finally receiving his paratrooper wings. Bob was then ordered to Camp McCall, North Carolina. This is where Bob would continue his intense paratrooper training prior to deploying to Europe. Bob and Betty were married on April 25, 1943 in York, South Carolina. Bob then received orders to report to Camp Shanks, New York. Bob and the unit then shipped out. The 508th Regiment arrived in Northern Ireland and relocated near Nottingham, England. The 82nd Airborne, All-American 508th Red Devils were dropped in Normandy on the evening of June 6, 1944. Their objectives were to capture the town of Saint-Mer-Église, secure crossings of the Merodot River near Lafier, Chef de Pont, and to establish defensive line north from Neuville to Bronzeville en Plaine. And I apologize, I have French blood, but I don't speak French. Bob bailed out in the dark and landed in a field 10 miles from his original drop zone. He finally met with other paratroopers. They tried to find their way, asking the French population for directions. It was difficult to communicate with a language barrier. Bob and his group of paratroopers spent 6 days searching for roads and fighting the Germans in the hedgerows of Normandy. Bob, along with his group, were captured by the Germans near the Merodot River. They were held captive at a farm. After capture and considered a prisoner of war, POW, Bob was relocated to the town of Alicant, south of Normandy. While there, Bob had to work in a hospital to take care of German soldiers. From there, Bob and his comrades were relocated by railroad to Paris and then into Germany. They arrived at a POW camp called the Stalag. From there, they were relocated to Czechoslovakia, where they were forced to work in a coal mine alongside Czech civilian prisoners. The work was difficult and dangerous. They suffered from malnutrition, lack of hygiene, and health care. During their time as POWs, Bob and his comrades received news about the war. The German soldiers never spoke about defeat. Bob and his comrades saw Allied planes flying around the camp. Bob and another soldier felt it was time to escape. They found their way to a nearby farm, where the farmer and his family took care of them. By the end of April, the Germans had left the area, and the POW camp was liberated by American soldiers. Bob and his comrade met their American liberators and were sent to an army hospital where they learned that the Germans had surrendered on May 7, 1945. Bob returned to the USA and continued his life with Betty. Bob worked for the U.S. Postal Service in Ithaca, New York. Quite a resume. Would you like to speak? Can I answer any questions?
Well, I wish to thank everybody that showed up here. I don't know if I can live up to everything you said or not, but it was an adventure, and I used to like to volunteer for something dangerous, I guess. That's why I got into the paratroops. But when I got home, somebody asked me if I was going to jump again. I said no. The 13th jump was in the combat. I said I got out of that, so I don't want to stretch my luck any further. But looking back, I guess I like to sign up for something dangerous, and I guess that was dangerous. But anyway, I had a good family back of me, and got some great grandsons over here, and grandson, and I finished up my working at the post office, and I enjoyed that, meeting people, and so looking back, I got to say I was lucky, I guess. When you're up, I know one of the jumps out of the plane there, they put me up in the doorway, and I used to get in the back of the string and follow the man out, and that was dangerous when I stand in the doorway and look straight down there. When you're in the line of them, you just follow the leader out of the plane, and we just had one all the time. I had 13 jumps. Somebody says, "You're going to jump at home?" And I says, "No, 13. That's my lucky number, I guess, and that's far enough." Yeah, when I went over to Binghamton to enlist, and with another fellow, and I enlisted in the paratroops, and he said, "That's too dangerous." So he enlisted in the Air Corps, and he was killed in a plane crash, and 3 years later, so I'm still around, so what is dangerous? But I had a good life, a good family. I got a grandson and 3 great grands over here, and where my father and mother are. I feel overwhelmed by all the people out there that honor me. I don't feel like I'm worth all that, but I'll take it. But,
Thank you for your service.
thank you. I've had a good life. I worked at the post office, and where I got out to meet the public, and I had 3 children, and my daughter and son Jimmy there is Jimmy Nobles. Everybody know him, doesn't they?
Good luck trying to get the mic away from me.
But yeah, and Tim there works in the station there, and that's I'm what am I now? I'm 98 now, is it? Is that right? And I still bowl once a week, and I was out trimming the hedges. I got a little tired on that. But anyway. But thanks again to everybody that showed up, and the people that got this together. I'm still enjoying life.
Thank you, Dad.
And thanks, Bob, for being here, not just you, but your entire family. Greatly appreciated for what you've gone through. For those that don't know, on Tuesday, 17 September, out of Da Nang, Vietnam, the remains of 2 MIAs were flown out to Hawaii for identification.
Awesome.
I saw that. I already saw that.
At this time, if the people I announced would
You got the
stand,
short
please,
stick.
for recognition. American Legion Commander Linda Shepard. VFW Auxiliary President Marshall Lemba. And at this time, the VFW Auxiliary would like to place wreath 1.
See you with Indy School.
Wreath 2, American Legion.
Stand against the car.
The POW wreath.
Flowers.
Former Commander Gary Brown.
Can I
Former
skip
Commander
that?
of the American Legion, Don Collette, and Bob Nobles. At this time, those that have carnations. Those that have carnations, please come forward and place them on the memorial. Please remain standing for the playing of taps.
Reset! Hoop!
Order! Take your seats, please. Flag. Order. Flag. And at this time, I'd like to acknowledge our guests. Of course, family members of Robert Nobles, as well as Robert. Mr. Michael Lighton, Commander of East Syracuse VFW Post. Edward Rogers, DAB Transportation Manager. The members of our local scout troops. They not only help us with this, they're normally working at our breakfast as well. At this time, I'd like the VFW Auxiliary President to come forward. She has a few words to say.
We also can't forget our Girl Scouts, our local Girl Scouts in Belgium Hill, so I want to acknowledge that they were here helping this year, which was a nice addition to the program. Since the American Revolution, people fighting to secure the freedom of the United States have at some points in time been held as prisoners of war. But it took more than 200 years for our country to officially recognize the sacrifices made by those Americans who spent time in enemy hands or who were declared missing in action, MIA, from U.S.-involved conflicts around the globe. National POW MIA Recognition Day, like Jay said, was established in 1979 through a proclamation signed by President Jimmy Carter. Since then, each subsequent president has issued an annual proclamation commemorating the third Friday in September as National POW MIA Recognition Day. In 1997, President Bill Clinton further strengthened the importance of the day by officially designating it as one of the 6 days per year that the POW MIA flag is required to be flown at designated federal government locations. At war's end, American casualties remained unaccounted for around the globe. Some where they had fallen, some in the depths of the oceans, and many in temporary cemeteries scattered throughout the world where battles occurred. World War II, we have 72,661 service members still not accounted for. From New York State, 5,799 of those people still remain unaccounted for. The Korean War, 7,616 service members not accounted for. From New York State, 37 people have had their remains returned, but 510 still remain unaccounted for. The Cold War, 126 service members unaccounted for, 7 of them are from New York State. Operation El Dorado Canyon in 1986, Captain Paul Lawrence of San Francisco, MIA 4/15/86. Operation Desert Storm 1991, Lieutenant Commander Barry Cook, MIA, served the Navy, and Captain Lawrence served the Air Force, MIA on 2/2/91. Lieutenant Robert Dwyer, U.S. Navy, MIA 2/5/1991. Operation Iraqi Freedom, 3 Department of Defense contractors each are unaccounted for and lost, 10903, 4904, 3307. Which leads me to express the words by a poet, Patricia O'Grady Purcells. I am the unknown soldier, some call me MIA. Some say I can't go home again. Some say I chose to stay. I am the unknown soldier who you refuse to know, a brother and a friend of yours who left me long ago. Some call me POW, the one they left behind. I am the unknown soldier, the one they never tried to find. I'm the one they never tried to find. I'm a farmer from Missouri, the soldier from St. Paul, I was the hero of my family and still my pictures upon their wall. I am a poet and a scholar and the boy who lived next door. I am the unknown soldier, long forgotten on a foreign shore. I was somebody's loving daddy. I was someone's pride and joy. I was someone's tendered lover, a worried mother's little boy. And if you should forget me here, then I should forget you too. Please, won't you try to bring me home, for I am someone who belongs to you. I am the unknown soldier with no more tears to shed. I'm just a fading memory, a part of the living dead. My country has betrayed me, yet I have forgiven you. And every night I pray to God that somehow he'll forgive you too. I am the unknown soldier, the one for whom you've cried. That familiar face that you can't face, the one your country told you died. I am the unknown soldier, with dreams you'll rescue me. And I am a man who understands that only death might set me free. We can never forget. Thank you.
This is a difficult ceremony to go through. And with all of you being here and the participation, it makes it a little easier. Thank you. I want to thank the Punishers for their support, for being here for us. Greatly appreciate it. The Scouts, and when I say Scouts, I mean boys as well as Girl Scouts as well as Boy Scouts. It's really kind of a shame that we've become a society where we have to differentiate or not differentiate in those ways. Our fellowship with Post 113, the American Legion, the community, the VA. I also want to thank Dennis Bach for being here. Dennis and I go back many years. Oh, we have a Civil Air Patrol Guard member here. He's also an Eagle Scout last year. Him and his brother built the fire pit that you're going to see the construction of our flags on. Thanks, Ron. Appreciate your support. Please uncover and bow your heads for the closing prayer.
Hold on.
Dear Father, we pray that what we have done has been only for the betterment of those we serve. As we prepare to leave, each to go our separate ways, we pray once again for those who are serving and have served our country, that all POWs and MIAs may return to their loved ones and once again to our country. Now, dear Father, keep your POWs and MIAs in your grace, and with thy grace they will all be with us once again. Amen.
Before completing this special day, I'd like to dedicate this to our past quartermaster, 9 years, Wade Brown, was interred earlier today. And you all know Wade. He was always here for us, and we'll be there for the family. This is the conclusion of the ceremony, and we thank everyone for their attendance today. Please make your way to the pole barn for light refreshments. We'll be making announcements shortly together around the fire pit for the lighting and the burning of the POW MIA watch fire. Thanks for being here. one more thing. I have a couple of things for Bob.
Through General Dynamics? Okay. No kidding, that was on the internet?
I did the
From Liverpool?
I did the mustard gas testing on the curb appeals. Make sure that, you know, of course that was done by the safety procedures.
The whole 6 years I was in, I was on the electric project. We did a lot of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Slow mock there.
The red devil, OD in color, of course. Well, thank you, and stick around because we've got pizza and wings afterwards, and we destroy the old flags.
You got to pay. Everything had been so.
The thing about the gas is that it's fresh. If you got a wet you had damage before you realized.
Right.
That's how fast it was. What it did was the water very themselves. If you took a deep wet, you work faster. For 3 years, there was
Well, thank you very much for everybody that came. I really enjoyed it. I don't have a uniform on, I got part of it, but I've been over to my son's golf course there today, and I enjoy seeing a lot of people there. And my grandsons and great-grands, they're getting a little restless, aren't they? And my daughter-in-law, Sue, Jimmy's, where's Jimmy? Should he go back? Jimmy's over there. But I think, anyway, it was a great occasion, and I appreciate everybody, and I'm ready to go out and list again right now.
You know where Storm King Mountain is? We made the filtration for that. It's inside of a mountain.
Don't worry about getting in the tank. We used to see that guy, right? Sure. We can't even get the air in the engine. Oh yeah, they're just full. I mean full.
Were you in Storm?
No, I'm talking back the one first game.
What was it like when you got that thing up to 45?
I used to get it up about 50.
Did you really?
That thing being rocket.
Oh, well, then it was. It's a big chunk of metal to go down the road.
As you go through, you know, we had another platoon of Marines. There was one
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we come to a part of our program. As you can see, our nation's colors are laid upon this pit. Their ashes will be returned into the soil of this great nation. We honor them the proper way. With this fire has three meanings: to return the colors to the soil, that this fire may shine bright as a watchfire, that those who are lost may find their way. From back in the revolutionary times when these fires were lit after battle, that the soldiers found their way back to their camp, injured, lost. They knew where to go. The fires burned bright. And that is our fire that burns within our hearts, to always remember and never forget. It is our duty, our mission. Those that have worn the uniform and all you who stand with us today, you are here for a reason. We will never, ever let this nation forget that our soldiers are out there. They need to be brought back. Our hope Those that are still prisoners of war will be returned, and those missing in action shall be laid upon this soil. It is our mission, our duty to never forget that. No mission has ever been complete or a success until all those on roster are accounted for. Third, I ask you tonight, as a special meeting, as these flames start, 22. Some of you know that number. This fire burns to let you know somebody that feels there are no way out. 22 veterans a day take their own lives. They don't understand. They don't feel worthy. They're alone. They're scared and afraid. We're here. Talk to somebody. Reach out to somebody. Just be there. Our mission, our duty is to never let that happen. That number should never be above 1. Group, can't up. Present, forward. Blood, sweat, and tears shall be perished back into this earth. those who cannot be here with us tonight, raise them up. We salute you.